For Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated, I'm Brendan Gulick from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. How about that? 3 wins in 3 days. The Ohio State Buckeyes are heading to the Big Ten championship game on Sunday afternoon. They're going to play the winner of the team over my left shoulder, awfully far down below me here. I'm up in the press box high above Lucas Oil Stadium, but it's Illinois and Iowa competing right now in the second semifinal. Ohio State had a scintillating win over the Michigan Wolverines. Final score was 68-67. And I'll tell you what, it was another really, really impressive performance by the Buckeyes, the way they've done it throughout the course of the season. I think this team has really done a good job subscribing to the fact that they are greater together than they are the Southern parts. And without Kyle Young available today because of the concussion he suffered yesterday, knowing they were playing against a Michigan team that is absolutely a Final Four and national championship contender, a team that they played an incredibly good game against just a couple of weeks ago. And while they lost, certainly the Buckeyes knew they're right there and are capable of beating a team of that caliber. Dwayne Washington was a star today. E.J. Liddell had a great game, but there were so many little individual performances throughout the course of that game here and there that I really just thought were super, super impressive. At the end of the game, the Buckeyes were able to survive, right? They had a 68-67 lead. C.J. Walker had an opportunity to maybe try to extend that lead or at a minimum to milk some clock. He drives to the basket and unfortunately steps on the baseline and basically puts the game in the hands of the Buckeye defense, which has certainly not been their strong suit throughout the course of the season. And what happens? They come through. E.J. Liddell contests Smith's shot just enough, and that long 2-point jumper from the top of the arc hit the back of the rim and ricocheted away. And Ohio State survives. You think about where this team was just really a few days ago, limping into the Big Ten tournament after 4 consecutive losses, albeit against some elite national competition, losing to Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa, and Illinois. If you haven't followed the Buckeyes all year, or if you have, those were largely good games. The Iowa game wasn't particularly good, but the Buckeyes just couldn't quite close us out. So they have this incredible run through the regular season and kind of come to a screeching halt at the end of the year, but still know they're capable of making a tournament run, and they just have to believe in themselves to do it. So what do? They come out on Thursday, and they beat Minnesota in a game that ended up being a lot closer than it probably needed to be. Minnesota had basically a 12-point deficit with 2 minutes to play, and it got cut to 1 in the final seconds. The Buckeyes ended up winning by a couple. Of course, yesterday against Purdue in the quarterfinals, an overtime win after holding an 18-point halftime lead. Buckeyes hung on to win in overtime, and then again today, it was far from the same kind of instant classic that we saw a few weeks ago. Here's a great way to put it in context for you. Michigan, 4 minutes into the second half, Michigan was shooting 27% for the game, and they were only down by 2 points. 27% and trailed by just 2. The Buckeyes really didn't have a very good offensive showing through the first 24 minutes. But whatever clicked for Dwayne Washington, and obviously he hit a bucket within 30 seconds of the half starting. He caught that 3 right in front of his own bench. And maybe that got going a little bit because he only had 5 points at halftime. But whatever got into the Buckeyes in the second half, they were much more efficient. I was impressed with the way they took care of the ball. They only turned it over 6 times all game. Michigan largely stayed in it because of their ability to hit free throws. They hit a boatload of foul shots. And the Wolverines didn't turn it over hardly at all throughout the course of the afternoon. Ohio State did a fantastic job on the glass. They out-rebounded Michigan. I'm not sure anybody would have predicted that before the game started, given the size advantage that the Wolverines had. But as it turned out, Ohio State today was just 1 skinny point better than Michigan in the Big Ten semifinals. And so for the first time since 2013, the Ohio State Buckeyes play for a Big Ten tournament championship. Let's take a look at the final box score. I mentioned Dwayne Washington. Obviously, he's the star of the game today. Dwayne had a terrific individual performance, 24 points on 9 of 20, and hit 5 of 10 from the three-point line. Look, I have certainly had moments this year where I've been critical of Dwayne Washington because it's been a pretty up and down season for him. But I give the kid a ton of credit for whatever reason. When he plays against Michigan, his home state, a lot's been made of him being a Grand Rapids guy. And, when he plays against Michigan, the last 4 times now, the Wolverines walk away from that game feeling like they're playing against a future NBA star. And Washington was truly exceptional today, 9 of 20, and especially in the second half. I mean, again, only 5 points by halftime, but he was 7 of 11 in the second half, 4 of 7 threes, and he played basically the whole second half. They really couldn't afford to take him off the floor. Similar story for E.J. Liddell. It wasn't a super efficient day for him offensively. 5 of 14 is not really what he was looking for. But Liddell took care of business. He did not miss a foul shot in the second half. Yeah, he probably had a couple of shaky minutes there toward the end. The steal that Hunter Dickinson quickly picked up and made a layup out of was frustrating. But I give Liddell credit for locking back in and making really a good defensive play to help seal off the win. Washington and Liddell scored 32 of Ohio State's 42 in the second half. C.J. Walker had 5. And, what C.J. Walker did today probably won't show up much on the box score itself. Walker was constantly going after loose balls. I just thought he played his heart out. And, after he picked up 2 fouls in the first half, I was a little concerned that maybe he could get in foul trouble and the Buck would be kind of in a pinch. But it turned out Walker was able to, calm down and make the good plays and obviously, made something important out of it. Zed Key, a little better effort today for sure. Played 8 minutes in that second half in particular when the Buckeyes really needed him. You're probably not going to hear this or see this talked about a lot, but how about the fact that in the first half, Ibrahima Diallo got back in the game for the first time since December 2nd. He had an injury early in the year. He'd only played in 2 games all season. And at 6'10", he's easily the biggest guy on the roster. And even if he's still a bit uncoordinated, Ohio State needs size in the post. And especially against this Michigan team, the fact they were able to get a couple minutes out of Diallo in the beginning of the game, I thought was really good. Again, he wasn't out there long, but nice to see him back on the floor for the first time in several months. Justin Arns hit a 3 today. That was great to see. Hopefully that can get him going. He played 16 minutes. Didn't really get a chance to take many shots, but with Walker in foul trouble and early, and then Musa Diallo picking up 4 fouls throughout the course of the game, Justin Arns was forced into more playing time. Michi Johnson played 3 minutes and looked confident, although he did miss the open 3 that he had. Justice Suing, I thought, played fine. 5 rebounds, 3 fouls for him, but 5 rebounds and 1 assist. Only turned it over once, blocked a shot. 9.2 minutes, played good defense. Liked what Justice Suing did today for the Buckeyes for sure. But, statistically, this was a Dwayne Washington and E.J. Liddell led box score. And then on the other side, look, Hunter Dickinson's going to get his, right? He is definitely it seems like he is going to be a future first-team All-Big Ten kind of guy. The Big Ten Freshman of the Year, such unbelievable talent, and it's really hard to contain him. 21 and 8 over 30 minutes. Mike Smith, who was unbelievable in yesterday's quarterfinal with 18 points and 15 assists, today had a tough day. 1 of 11 from the floor, 7 of 8 free throws, got him up to 10 points. Eli Brooks hit a couple of threes. He played okay, got to 12. Tough day for Franz Wagner, only 2 of 10, and fouled out of the game there in the second half. So, look, all things considered, I think Ohio State deserves a lot of credit for the way they play defense. Michigan is an elite offensive team. Ohio State's defense this year has not been great. Today, I thought they played really hard on the defensive end. Did Michigan miss some open shots? Yeah, of course they did. and that's going to happen. But I think Ohio State deserves a lot of credit for altering some of those shots, especially in the paint, because Michigan missed a bunch of layups today, and frankly, the Buckeyes did too in the first half. But Ohio State deserves credit for the way they played defense. This was one of their better defensive performances all season long. It came in a super clutch moment and got them back to a championship level basketball. Michigan had their second lowest 2-point field goal percentage of the entire season today, and they lost for just the fourth time. A really impressive win for the Ohio State Buckeyes, beating Minnesota, Purdue, and Michigan 3 days in a row. And they get an extra 2 hours, I guess, with today's game being a 1 o'clock tip and then tomorrow's game being a 3:30 championship final. And they don't yet know who they're going to play as we shoot this live because, again, Illinois and Iowa are still playing as we speak. And as I glance over my shoulder, they have less than a minute left in the first half, 57 seconds left, and a high-scoring game. Illinois 42, Iowa 36 is how things look right now in that one. So great work by the Buckeyes. Chris Holtmann's team is certainly feeling like they're not done quite yet. You could kind of sense in post-game press conference that they were proud of what they've accomplished, but not ready to be finished quite yet. Whoever they play tomorrow, either one of these two teams is going to be a heck of a challenge. The good news is Ohio State's beaten both of those two teams this year, but they've also lost to both those two teams. In fact, they were the two most recent losses at the end of the calendar back in the end of February. So should be a great championship final. Of course, Selection Sunday is also tomorrow. I don't think it's out of the question that Ohio State could still possibly be a 1 seed if they win the Big Ten championship. You beat Purdue and Michigan and one of these two teams, I think you've still got a case. The Big Ten tournament champion, I think, should get serious consideration for a number 1 seed nationally. Considering the Buckeyes are playing tomorrow and at worst would be runner-up, I'd be stunned if they're not on the 2 line at a minimum. So they should have favorable draw, at least in the opening game, and then we'll see what happens after that. But the Buckeyes are hoping that they can be on this floor, on this side, in a few weeks' time. That's the Final Four court that they'll use here in 3 weeks' time. It'll be Saturday, April 3rd is the Final Four in this very building. All right, plenty more coverage to come on BuckeyesNow.com, right here on our YouTube channel, on our social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, at BuckeyesNowSI. Hope you'll stick around all evening long. We'll have plenty of coverage tonight, certainly throughout the rest of the Big Ten tournament. And we'll let you know everything you need to know about the NCAA tournament tomorrow evening when the selection show starts. Big thanks to Caroline Janssen, her help on the production side here tonight. That's our instant analysis. I'm Brendan Gulick. The Buckeyes, the 68-67 winner over Michigan in the Big Ten semis. For the first time since 2013, they are championship game bound. See you tomorrow here from Lucas Oil Stadium.